Hello everyone, welcome back. This episode here, it's just a straight chart analysis. I haven't really been kept up with any news or anything like that, so nothing to talk about there. Um, so I wanted just to look at this chart because I've been trading all day. Um, Even though the price has come down, this is a recent price action here. Um, this is after hours in the US. The price has dramatically fallen. I don't know what's causing it. Again, I'm not doing a news episode or don't know anything. I haven't been keeping up with that. I've been actually been very busy trading, ironically. But I've mentioned this before about this downward triangle, and you see I have a line here. And if you're wondering where I got this line, I just took this point, the lowest point in which it's on right now, and I zoomed out to a three day. So I took the lowest point right here, which is now, and it hit its low, and then it kind of went up a little bit around 250, and then it's been kind of hovering between 250 and then whatever its low is. And so I just took that line and just took that, and wouldn't you know, it just happened to go through right here and here, just like I mentioned before, this little downward wedge here that's been happening. And it's kind of interesting that this price, and if you're wondering, this is a Bitfin. All right, so this is a Bitfin on the 3 day here, and so and that's the current price right here. So it's been fluctuating between whatever its low is right there at the moment. Let me zoom in here on 12-hour and see what the low is. What does that say? I can't even read it. 242, 241.01. So that's the low, 241.01. And so, like I said, that was the low. I just took a line from that point to this point, and it just drew the rest of the line up here. So that might be the bottom. Now, the dangerous part is, I know that's the supporting line. It seems like it. But the dangerous part is if you look at the momentum here, you'll see this red momentum downward. That is just starting to build up, and you see a lot of activity here and just these volumes. They're really starting to pick up, and this may not, the danger is this may not be supportive. It may break through here, in which that case scenario, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen. I mean, it can go back down to easily down to 100, maybe even below 100. Worst case scenario. But again, the thing about downturns, or when you see the downward trend, is that it always looks worse than it really is. Always seems to, people panic. They tend to see the worst, and they oversell, which is great for a person like me, because if you're able to, if you've been in this long enough to the point where you're so deep into it that now it's not really a short-term trade anymore. It's a long-term trade. It's become a long-term trade for you. Um, Something like this really doesn't phase you that much, because you know how to trade in this situation. You know that over time, um, the way it works is limited supply versus infinite supply. Just means value is going to go up. So, just, I'm not an economist, but limited supply, a finite supply versus an infinite supply. The finite supply is going to go up in value. The infinite supply is going to go down in value. So even if um, even if, let's say, Bitcoin doesn't really do anything, the fact that there's an infinite supply of money bringing the value of money down, just that fact alone will bring the value of Bitcoin up, in theory anyway. So let's see if it works. I mean, so far it seems like it doesn't seem like it's working now, but if you go back further, and you can't really even do that with this. I have to go to Bitstamp, and anyways, if I do that here, I'll just make another, open up a new one here. So if I do that with Bitstamp, okay, and let's go on the 1 week. I mean, if you really look at this, and this doesn't even go back that far. I mean, it only goes back up to 2012. Um, if you look at this, and then you look at where it is, that's a huge increase. And you're just talking about 1, 2, 3 years. Although this is phenomenal. I mean, this is what really got me into it. But at the same time, what I've learned from this all the way going down to here has been a tremendous value to me, to the point where I don't think I would have learned everything I could about Bitcoin and money and value and virtual reality and physical reality, and I mean just everything that I've learned. You know, I wouldn't have been able to learn any of that if I didn't go through this and then through this. And so in some ways, I guess I should be very grateful. For other people, they're very angry. Some other people are very happy. But me, I'm just very grateful because, you know, without that experience, I definitely I wouldn't be the person I am now. That's for sure. So, you know, you look at this, and what was this? Like $3.80. This low right here, this little number, and to what it was high of 1,000. But even if you look at it, $3.80 compared to its current price of 247, that's not really bad. And I bet you in 5 more years, when you pull back, this little thing right here is going to be this big thing right here, which looks big. And then when I do another chart, I mean, that'd be weird if I did another chart and I'm like, wow, look at what it was. It was 200 and something dollars, and now it's like, you know, what would it be if it was 200? If this was, that's 100, $20,000, $200,000. Could you imagine just talking like that? But you know, it sounds really silly to talk about that and say it like that. Like, man, look at what it was in 2014. It was only like $240, $250, and now it's just $250,000. You know, it sounds silly, but you know, I hate to sound like I'm an old person, but you know, people. I always hear, and this is stereotyping, but you always, and generalizing in some sense, but you know, you always make fun of these old people where they talk about how a loaf of bread was a penny and all that other stuff. Well, you know, the truth is a loaf of bread was a penny. And I know we all make fun about that, like we mock that whole idea, you know, we make fun of it. But the truth is a loaf of bread was really worth a penny. You can get several loaves of bread for a penny. And now you can't even buy your bread with a penny. I don't even know what you do with a penny anymore. People just flick it around like it's so worthless. People flick it around, you know, and to see how far they can throw it. So, so you know, you just have to kind of think about this, and if you're able to see the future and travel through, you know, space and time, and you're able to see the future, you would kind of already have an idea what's going to happen. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit. But let's get off of Bitstamp, and I just want to, you know, everyone should really take a look at the overall picture of of what's happening and take that into context, in my opinion anyway. But let's get out of here and let's go back to Bitfin here. And so this is a long down triangle that we've been seeing, and it's reached that bottom support. You see it several times, 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason I say it can go down to 100 because there's that flash crash right here where it actually went down to 100. So there is still that possibility of going down to 100. Um, so uh, that, I do have to mention that because that could be a possibility. But we're going to have to just see what's going to happen. And like I said, it's going to be bouncing around in here. If it breaks below this, that could be an early signal, which there might be because the momentum of this is really on the downside. It depends if you can hold this line right here. If it can, then you might see this momentum waning off a little, and whatever goes, the momentum might reverse back up, and so you might see a nice little bounce to hit this resistance again, and this may go on for a long time until what I say, January, February, March, around March, all the way through March. So that's the overall picture. Short term, let's see, I'll just go into a 12-hour. If you go into a 12-hour, this is kind of what it looks like, and it's following, it's hitting up against this, and if you look at it, it really is, it's hitting several times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's just hitting up against this 25 period average, I believe. This is all weighted, 25 period average, and then you'll see that it's, after it couldn't hit up, it's following the 10 period average and really dropping dramatically here, and if this gap gets wide enough, it could bounce back, and here's some possibilities of where it can break up to. You're looking at 350, somewhere around 350. Of course, when this triangle goes down, it'll be a little bit below 350, but you're looking at $100 here difference, and a lot of people have put some heavy limit orders right around here, which it's good for them because they probably picked the right spot to do it, and they could see a nice $100 gain, about $100, probably a little bit less, but in the future they could probably see that as it hits up against this resistance, it'll retest this whole resistance again. Again, this could be another resistance here. If you took another line, you'll see that it's another line coming right here. You call them little forks. But if you took another line, if you took this and then you just made a copy and duplicated, and you see this coming through, so you'll see another chance of 300. So basically from 350 to 300, and if it breaks above 300, you're looking at 350. So 250, 300, and 350, and it makes sense to these 350, 300 being Pacific numbers. A lot of people want to put like 355, 256 or whatever. For me, it just makes so much easier sense, because although a lot of trading bots may be trading, ultimately, I don't trade a bot. I don't have a bot. I actually trade. I actually push the button myself, and I think there's a lot of people that do that, and there's some things that a computer just can never ever do, even if you programmed it in 10 different ways. It just doesn't have we tend to think computers are very sophisticated machines. If you really think about computers, they're the most dumbest thing on earth. If you told a computer to drive through a brick wall, that's what a computer will do. It won't ask you, why am I driving through a brick wall? If you told a computer to jump off the bridge, it will jump off a bridge. It won't say, why am I jumping off a bridge? What's the point? And I'm not going to not going to survive if I do. It won't think that way. It won't even do that. It'll just drive off the bridge. Literally, just suicide. Don't even ask why. And so, that's what a bot does. If you tell it to buy, a bazillion bitcoins, but at the same time you tell it to sell a bazillion bitcoins at a certain price, it will do that, and it might even do that forever until you run out of money. Especially if you programmed it in the wrong way. And so, um, you know, I think a lot of these trades are what drives the price is actually a person, driving this price. So my point is, um, there's some things a bot can't do, and what really drives this price is not a bot. It's a person. Um, so at the end of the day, uh, you got to, you know, trading is not just more than chart analysis or technical analysis. It's actually understanding the human psyche, understanding the crowd and how it functions and what it's thinking, and get a gauge of what the crowd mentality or the crowd movement is going to be. And the crowd can be very foolish at some points. The crowd can be very wise at another point. They can be, crowd intelligence can be very, 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 very useful. Crowd hysteria, on the other hand, is very self-defeating. And so, if you understand that and you know how to play against that or play with it, um, you'll do very well. But the point is, what I'm trying to make, it's not always technical analysis. It can actually be psychological crowd psychology, and that's another factor that you're not going to really learn about. Um, it's just, again, you just have to experience it and then learn from that experience. Of course, that's my opinion. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, and in this particular episode is the crowd can, as much as they can be right about, you know, price discovery, they can be very wrong about price discovery. And so if you know how to play that, you can do very well. That's my point. So it's hit the bottom here. We're going to have to see what it does. You see in the 12 hour, it's a very hard, I mean, even on a 12 hour, this is still considered like long-term chart analysis. You can see that huge spike in volume just in this 12-hour period that it broke down. And that's an indication to me that there's some heavy, massive selling here. I don't know why. There may be some news coming up. I'll probably have to take a look after, but just on chart analysis alone, this makes sense. It seems to hit that low that I was talking about around 250, which it did hit around 250. I had some limit orders around 250. It did hit it, which is great. I bought a little bit more as well when it hit this, and so I'm taking a risk here, see if this is going to work out. If it doesn't, that's alright. It just goes into my Bitcoin pile. I'm not taking a huge risk because the price is so low. I'm really after more Bitcoins than I am, what value of Bitcoins I bought for, per se. And so my point is I'm buying a lot more Bitcoins than if I bought over here or up here. And I didn't have to risk, buying one whole Bitcoin or half a Bitcoin, quarter of a Bitcoin. My point is I'm able to get more Bitcoin than any other time before that. Oh, well, anyway, any time before this range here in price. So anyway, that's my quick chart analysis. There's a range in price, 250 to 350. Look for it to bounce up in there, and maybe around March to really see if it breaks one way or the other because it's going to be slowly squeezed in at the point where it's got to break up or break down. Anyways, hopefully this helps you out. Feel free to like, dislike, uh, leave a comment, or even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.